I think that this will be one of the most important videos that I ever upload.
Today we are going to be talking about Jeffree Star's non-apology video.
There are no excuses.
This video is riddled with excuses.
Now keep in mind, Jeffree Star has made 2 prior videos to this.
Jeffree Star's most recent, I don't know if you want to call it an apology, but his most recent video.
Is he talking about the racism again?
Who, that little black bitch Keisha?
What is he talking about here?
He used to be popular on MySpace about 10 years ago for being a legitimately awful person.
I don't know who that person was.
Oh, and if my body's found dead in a ditch somewhere, it's Jeffree Star.
My lawyers are entertaining it behind the scenes, but I will not be.
An apology is an acknowledgement of a wrongdoing, which is conciliatory and humble, and this feels more like a military statement.
We have to all take accountability for our own actions.
Shut up, you fucking neck bitch. You stupid ape, I'm gonna spray you.
Anything else that you guys want to know, it will never be spoken about.
The content creators create a fire and then expect to be considered a hero for putting it out.
When you accept that you are the problem, you can become the solution.
Okay, let's talk about the destructive legacy of Jeffree Star's apologies. Since the dawn of time, Jeffree Star has been the center of some of the most striking influencer controversies, and of course, with the endless stream of scandals came all the apologies.
There are no excuses.
Now, we can argue semantics about which apology video was the best versus the worst, that people make mistakes and people change, and the whole internet accountability thing is overrated, and we should all just shut the hell up and enjoy the show, and I'm just using buzzwords that should be left for the streets. But when it comes to abusive, racist, manipulative, gaslighting, problematic behavior that continues to get a pass as long as a cute little apology video follows and no real accountability happens, I draw the line because, as I always say, it's not drama, it's dangerous. So let's dive face first into the history of the Jeffree Star apology anthology to answer the age-old question that, yeah, Jeffree keeps getting away with this shit, but why?
My publicity team has informed me that the best move to save my brand is to make another apology video.
I'm not listening so much to what his words are saying. I honestly don't remember what he just said.
Your actions and what you've been doing don't add up to what you're saying that you've been doing.
This has to stop.
The drama in the beauty community's gotta stop? Oh, no, how are you guys gonna sell palettes then?
Whoa, 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 what do you mean by that?
Hi there, hello, hello, hi, it's my face again. Swoop, 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 swoop. Wow, so in my last doc, I did a comprehensive analysis of influencer apologies, like common themes, manipulation tactics, and so on. If you haven't watched it, it's linked below. It is my masterpiece. I mean, listen, I literally created an apology musical theme song for y'all. But you know, making that doc got me thinking. There's this long-standing trend of influencers who have made multiple apology videos, like what I like to call repeat problematic offenders. So after looking at just how many apologies there are for these creators, I thought, like, why just let them fade into internet oblivion? What if we do a little internet deep dive looking at the history and evolution of these apologies, starting with our first subject, Jeffree Star.
Mwah.
Just like all my docs, I'm going to break this down into 3 parts: the thematic structure of a public influencer apology, the hypocritical web spun by Jeffree Star's past, and the public's obsession with demanding accountability. Oh, look at the face, look at your face. Everyone say hi to Mr. Automobile. He's one of Bill Ferrell's kittens I'm fostering from the billing department litter. Oh, did I wake you up? They're literally the sweetest kittens ever, and a couple are still available for adoption if you want some yummy sweetness in your home. So you can DM me on their Instagram at Bill Ferrell for more info. And while you're at it, are you following me on Instagram? Because the quality, honey. I'm gonna post this photo, leave a comment on it with the grad cap emoji to let me know you came from this video. You wanna go play? Okay. We have a lot to cover, but real quick before we dive in, I am so stoked for today's sponsor, Scentbird. You are going to love this. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that lets you try out over 600 perfume brands without committing to a full-size bottle, which, let's be real, some of these fragrances is expensive, child. Like, some really be costing $300, $500, bitch. I personally love being able to test drive a fragrance first, and I also like switching it up regularly and mixing scents. Scentbird lets you choose a new fragrance every month, and they have all the top designer brands like Prada, Gucci, Versace. They have perfumes, colognes, neutral options, and they're all 100% authentic. Scentbird works directly with the brands. And my favorite part, with each fragrance, you'll get a full 30-day supply so you can try before committing to a full bottle or switch it up and try something new. And also, you get to pick what you want every month, so there are no surprises and you can skip any month, anytime with no penalties. And it's only $16. But if you use my code SWOOP2, you'll get 30% off, making it only $11. Yes, honey. And honestly, like, just a little sidebar, I feel like they actually last longer than 30 days. Like, no joke, I took this fragrance on my trip to New York. I was gone almost 3 weeks. I used it every day, and look how much there is left. You guys see that? There is so much. She might last a little longer than 30 days, but you didn't hear that from me. Now, this month I actually got 4 fragrances because I'm feeling decadent, and I thought it might be fun to pair these fragrances with each Jeffree Star apology video that we're gonna look at. So the first fragrance is the Michael Germain Sugarful Dream, and oh my gosh, it smells so good. I literally want to eat this right now. Like, it's sweet and kind of warm, but it's just delicious. Oh, it just smells like sugary heaven. Okay, this one's gonna be for me. Jeffree can't have this one. Okay, the next fragrance I got is Rachel Zoe Fearless. This has coconut shavings, amber, and vanilla, and just smells kind of unapologetic. So I think I'll pair this one with this Jeffree. Next, I got the Illuminaire Intensa by Vince Camuto with notes of lemon, midnight orchid, and sandalwood. And I think I will pair this with this Jeffree. A little mysterious, a little opulence. And finally, I got another Michael Germain. This one is Sexual Noir. Now, obviously, we gotta spritz Gold Couch Jeffree with this one. I mean, if the pink robe and Louis Vuitton socks don't scream Sexual Noir, then I don't know what does, honey. Woo! Alright, so make sure to tap the link in the description to check out Scentbird and get your own delicious fragrances, and take the fun sample quiz to help you find exactly what fragrance you'll love based on your preferences. And remember to use code SWOOP2 to get 30% off to make your first month only $11. It is amazing and so worth it. Trust me, I am obsessed with Scentbird. Thank me later. Alright, and now back to the doc. Okay, we're gonna be looking at Jeffree's 3 most notable apology videos in chronological order, starting with racism, then never doing this again, and finishing with doing the right thing. There are some central themes across all of them that I found when doing my research, and many of these themes are tactics that nearly every influencer has used, but they really set the tone for who Jeffree presents himself to be over the years. And listen, y'all already know, I'm gonna just have to take us immediately to Petty University. Professor Petty has entered the chat. Class is in session. Put on your grad caps, cause this shit is, let's just say my pettiness knows no bounds today. So some of the key themes of the Jeffree Star apology anthology, trademark, are as follows. We got the quintessential center framing, then we've got the highly produced professional setup, and of course the color palettes. Like in 2017 for the racism video, we've got the navy blue background with a white sweater, white hair, and natural makeup. So white represents purity or innocence. Some of the positive meanings that white can convey include cleanliness, freshness, and simplicity. The color white often seems like a blank slate, symbolizing a new beginning or a fresh start. And if we look at the color navy, because this shit is strategic, then we see that the color blue communicates significance, importance, and confidence. This is where the corporate blue power suit and the blue uniform of police officers come from. Blue is often associated with intelligence, stability, unity, and conservatism. So by choosing this color palette, while Jeffree defends himself against his racist past, the navy conveys confidence, unity, stability, and oddly police officers. And the white is serving purity and innocence. Like, bitch, it is a whole cute little white savior package wrapped up with a little bow.
Max, pick out a bow!
Now, 2 years later, in his Never Doing This Again apology about his online bullying, calling James Charles a predator.
Hello, everybody.
We see the color palette has shifted, but the makeup is pretty identical to racism. Like, this bitch stay beat like a salad. Are you doing this to take accountability, or is it a PR move for the press? Got me thinking. So here we've got a heavy use of brown and a deviant of navy into light blue. So some of the key characteristics associated with brown in color psychology include a sense of strength and reliability. It's a color often associated with resilience, dependability, security, and safety, feelings of loneliness, sadness, and isolation, which is interesting because he talks a lot about being in a dark place and mental health in this one, which we'll get to. And light blue is associated with health, healing, tranquility, understanding, and softness. Now, brace yourself, bitch. This next one, child, okay. This hoe really just sat in a pink ass robe and the gaudiest, most obscene gold couch that's taller than my expectations and double curved staircase. Like, this doesn't scream apology. This screams, bitch, I got more money than all of you. I don't give one shit about what you think. And what about those colors? Well, pink, a delicate color that means sweet, nice, playful, cute, romantic, charming, feminine, and tenderness. Pink represents friendship, affection, harmony, inner peace, and approachability. And the color gold is the color of extravagance, wealth, riches, and excess. This bitch got the gold couch, gold hair, gold lights, gold double staircase, gold background lighting, topped off with the Louis Vuitton socks, which I believe are probably etched or sewn with gold thread. At this point, nothing would surprise me anymore. The contradiction here is very interesting to me because while playing with the sweet, cute, childlike tenderness of pink, it's countered sharply with the lavish, bold extravagance of the gold, creating a feeling of hypocrisy and two-facedness. Like, they contradict each other in their psychological meaning. And I think that that's intentional. It subconsciously touches on the idea that I'm going to apologize, the sweetness, but make you feel like shit in the process because I'm better and more valuable than you. So when looking at the evolution of his apologies, just from a visual standpoint, I think he actually started out more convincing and over time has become more and more contrived, suggesting a de-evolution versus growth and an increasing detachment from reality and accountability.
I'm really reflecting on my behavior and mine alone.
Child, the thumbnails. If you want to talk about PR longevity, bitch, the pose, darling, the pose. The racism thumbnail is too posed. The Never Doing This Again thumbnail is just too contrived with the clasped praying hands. And then there's this monstrosity. Okay, so we're going to dissect each apology video individually, and before we do that, I think it's important that we establish the backbone of a good apology and the telltale signs of a bad one. If you can better identify harmful and manipulative behavior in someone's apologies, then you can better protect yourself from further abuse, because remember, an apology without change is just manipulation. Keep that in mind. I found this checklist written by a medical professional about the characteristics of a good apology as follows. It is freely offered without conditions or minimizing what was done, conveys that the person apologizing understands and cares about the hurt person's experience and feelings, conveys remorse, offers a commitment to avoid repeating the hurtful behavior, offers to make amends or provide restitution if appropriate. Saddle up, bitch. Let's look at what makes a bad bad apology. So the most common mess is the I'm sorry but, or I'm sorry if. This is a conditional apology. It falls short of a full apology by suggesting only that something might have happened. I'm sorry but, like, bitch, you could sit down with your butts. I can't right now, okay? Then there are a whole mess of ways someone can shift blame and deflect. Like, number one, I know I'm not perfect. You should feel bad for being judgmental. I'm not perfect, I just made a mistake. Number two, here's what they would say. You are bringing up stuff from the past. We'll hear a lot of influencers say, but it was in the past, it was a different time then. Number three, they might say, you know I am not the kind of person who would do that. That is not what I meant. Whew, okay, all of that being said, we got a little understanding of a bad apology, and I'll apply those things as we go. So now, let's dig in.
We dig in.
Okay, so the first apology we're looking at is racism, posted in June of 2017. So the first thing I want to look at is the description, and this one is full of goodies. So, you know, let's be petty and pick it apart. Yeet. I owe it to all of you to be brutally honest about my past, and I'm here today to discuss old videos of me that have been resurfacing lately. So right off the bat, Jeffree is checking a bunch of boxes of what makes a bad apology. He starts off by referencing his past twice.
My past has been recorded. It has been exploited all over the internet.
Hitting point number 2 on our checklist, you are bringing up stuff from the past, which suggests not only that he's distancing himself from what he did, but that he doesn't take seriously the fact that those actions still hold just as much weight. It was just as harmful then as it is now. I want to clear the air about drama, rumors, and being accused of being racist. Racist. Influencers love to dismiss every up thing they do as drama to dismiss the severity of the shit they've done. I don't know what, in the non-homogenized, dairy-free, Lil Nas X audacity of a reality these influencers are living in, but for the last time, when we are talking about racism, bigotry, misogyny, power abuse, manipulation, and just general trash behavior that threatens the well-being of marginalized groups, it's not drama, it's dangerous. And then my favorite part, drama, rumors, and being accused of being racist. Bitch, this dude really had to put the word racist in quotes. Like, honey, this you throwing around the N-word every 3 to 5 business days?
Shut up, you fucking nigga, bitch. You stupid ape, I'm gonna spray you. You beat that nigga. You're a fucking nigga. You're a nigga, you ugly ass bitch.
This you talking about splashing a black woman in the face with battery acid to bleach her skin?
You say black folk cannot wear MAC cosmetics and you splash your acid in her face.
Well, maybe if she wasn't wearing the wrong foundation color, I wouldn't have to splash no battery acid. I wanted to lighten her skin tone, girl.
Jeffree, Jeff, I don't know what you heard.
Who, that little black bitch Keisha?
Bitch, that's racist. Like, ain't no air quotes needed. It's not racist, it's racist.
Yeah, what I said was racist. Yeah. But I wasn't saying it to a person of color. I was saying a horrible, offensive word to cut back at someone calling me something awful.
I've been really bloated today.
By putting it in quotes, he's already detached himself from the accusation. I can't personally trust it as real accountability because he won't even call a spade a spade. Racism is racism.
It's not about race, it's not about any of that. It was just about being an offensive, attention-seeking, angry person. Yeah. That's not who I am.
Honey, I am a woman of wealth, and that black bitch did not see me steal nothing. I was paying with my platinum visa.
But let's continue. My message has always been about self-expression and loving yourself. Like, he went from a full deflection dissertation to an ad for JC Penney. Bitch, where is the substance? Jeffree, can I call you Jeff? Jeff, listen. Technically, your message has also been about racism.
Who, that little black bitch Keisha?
For entertainment and racism for violent threats.
Shut up, you fucking nigga, bitch.
So, no, not always about love.
Get back here, bitch! You bitch! I'll kill you, bitch!
And you know, this hits on checklist item number 3, where someone might say, you know, I am not that kind of person who would do that. These phrases leave the person repenting in charge of defining the event for which forgiveness is being sought. Let's continue. With having such a huge social media platform, I've decided to start being 100% open and talk about some serious subjects and my mistakes for the last time. Stop calling racism and prejudice a mistake. Targeted bigotry is not a mistake, it is an intention. Digital blackface is not a mistake, it's an intention. When you call it a mistake, it trivializes the severity of the harm and diminishes the victims, which perpetuates these types of problems. Write it off as a mistake so that we can just keep making mistakes.
But I've learned from so many of my personal past mistakes.
This apology is a masterclass in shifting blame, playing the victim, and excusing his abusive behavior. But you know, it's well done, so great. Now, one thing I first noticed visually is the 2 camera angles, which I think is a bizarre choice. Now, as a filmmaker, having 2 cameras, what we'd call like A camera and B camera, not only ups the production, but kind of detaches the audience from the speaker. So when we're seeing the A camera, he's looking directly at you, like I am, right? Like eye contact. But every time it cuts to the B camera, that eye contact is broken and feels more like a well-produced interview than an intimate apology.
Today, I wanted to sit here and turn on the camera and talk to you guys about some really serious subjects.
Let me first point out that Jeffree never once addresses the victims of his racism, aka the black community. Like, never. Not once. I pulled up the covers, I looked for it, bitch, didn't find it.
Boy, have you lost your mind, cause I'll help you find it.
Instead, it's something that he says he owes.
This video is something that I feel like I owe to my entire audience.
Right off the bat, this apology is nothing more than a PR statement, and therefore it's kind of trash. Just to prove my theory, let's see how many times he references himself.
As I sit here, I realize that I have a bigger platform sometimes than I realize myself. I feel like it's time that I get out a little bit more of my story. And
And now, let's see how many times he references the black community.
Ah!
Oh right, he doesn't.
Oh!
Listen, if you don't address the victims, then there's no accountability. Okay, glad we solved that. Let's continue.
This video is mainly about something that is a really subject that I've had to deal with for a long time.
What Jeffree does immediately is refer to the issue, his past racism, as something he has been dealing with.
I've had to deal with for a long time.
This not only implies a shift of blame and sets himself up as the victim because it's something he's had to deal with versus the victims of his racist bullying.
For the last few years, as I have joined the YouTube community, I have been subjected to a lot of drama, and I get it.
He then continues this sentence by again hitting number 2 on the checklist, bringing up stuff from my past, when he says this happened 12 years ago.
A lot of stuff from my past constantly gets dragged up. It's been happening for years, and those videos were 12 years ago.
Now look, I'm not saying that people can't change from their past. Maybe he has, but as far as apologies go, so far, this just isn't one because there's too much deflection.
Those videos were 12 years ago, and I look at them and I see them resurface, and it just makes me sick to my stomach because I don't know who that person was.
And now we move on to my favorite section, the I don't know who that person was section. This is a personal favorite of some of the internet's most beloved darlings.
I don't know who that person is anymore. I wasn't even myself. I don't even know who I was at that point.
I know that I'm better than that person. I don't know why influencers love this so much, like third-personing themselves, but bitch, like, that person was you! Like, I don't know what to tell you, but
I do not know who that person was.
It was you!
The person that said those horrible, vile things.
It was you!
That person was depressed,
Wait a second. Wait, hold.
That person was angry at the world.
I thought that you didn't know who that person was.
That person felt like they were not accepted.
And now you know that person was depressed, angry, and seeking attention, but you don't know who that person, how do you know how they were feeling?
The person
you
that said those horrible, vile things.
But you mean you.
The person.
Oh, still you.
The person.
I can't keep up.
That person was seeking attention.
So this is a classic manipulation tactic, and please, if someone is apologizing to you for the abuse they put you through, like they need to own it. If they don't own it, then accountability can't be taken. The apology is therefore not going to be authentic. He then virtually denies having any sort of intent by saying this.
I'm embarrassed as a person because that is not what I've ever stood for.
Now, I'll kill you, bitch!
Clearly, when you were screaming racist abuse at people and joking about battery acid in a black woman's face, you did stand for racism because that was racist. Now, maybe you don't now, and I hope not, but you did. So you can't claim that you never stood for that. That's what we need to address. By ignoring that, no accountability, once again. And it lightweight gaslights people as well. But surprisingly, after all of this, he finally does say, I'm sorry.
I owe you an apology.
The trouble is, like, number one, he already paved the road with tons of excuses, so it makes the apology questionable and insincere, especially because he follows it up by comparing being a guy in makeup to the violent acts of systemic racism that black people face in everyday existence.
I've always been a guy in makeup. I started wearing makeup in 10th grade, and looking back at that person, people did not accept me.
Nope, not it. Return to sender. Too many excuses.
And what did I do? I fought back with rage.
See, there's fighting back with anger and rage, and then there's fighting back with racism.
Sometimes that's how we handle things. We're human beings.
Listen, Jeff, listen. Racism is an act of violence. Being racist literally strips the marginalized group you're attacking of their humanity, so you can't use the argument, I'm only human, when the very thing you've done is violently removing someone's humanity.
The intent behind my words back then, it was not about race.
It's a choice. Jeffree could have chosen to use any other nasty words to attack these people, but he chose violently racist actions, and all these excuses are just that. They're just excuses. He also hits on checklist point number 1, the I know I'm not perfect.
I am literally the furthest thing from perfect. I make mistakes every day.
I wanted to include this because ironically, I think this is the most genuine part of this video.
I said really horrible, vicious things back to people to hurt them, to harm them, to shock them, and that is not okay.
And him acknowledging this out loud is a good step towards some growth in the future if he chooses to work on it.
That does not represent anything how I feel. That is not who I am, and I apologize deep down to the core of my being.
For whatever it's worth, there's part of me that believes him here. There's something in the shift of his tone and body language.
Anything.
It's unfortunate because the entire rest of the video is unbelievable to me.
That person does not exist anymore.
It seems like it's impossible for him to come to terms with the fact that he was, in fact, racist. But if you just deny it straight out the gate, I'm not racist, then, honey, haven't really addressed it, have we? Moving on.
Hello, everybody.
We're going to analyze his second major apology video, which was Never Doing This Again.
I think that this will be one of the most important videos that I ever upload.
So I should first point out, he doesn't ever directly apologize to James, the main victim, in this context.
A lot of you have seen the vicious text messages that I sent, and because I said those things, that does not equal me hating James Charles.
And as we said, no apology means no accountability. Then he goes into another classic manipulative tactic, which is blaming the dark place.
It took me back to the old Jeffree, and I was in a very dark place because I was in a dark place yesterday.
And he says that a lot.
It started to get really
dark in my head.
And I'd say it was a full dismissal of accountability, except for the fact that he also says this.
James Charles's brother, Ian, I sent a very mean tweet to him when I fully didn't understand what he was even referring to. So Ian, I just want to let you know I am so sorry for ever sending that tweet. If I could take it back, I would.
While he doesn't directly quote the things he tweeted, he does specifically mention them instead of just glossing over it, which is more than he did in the racism apology.
I should have been mature enough to say, hey, I love and care about you. I've seen some things I didn't like. Here's my feelings. But guess what? I didn't. And that was my first mistake.
It kind of is an improvement when we're taking into account the evolution of his apologies, and
I was gonna pull voice memos, I was gonna pull old text messages from other people.
I actually think that Jeffree not spilling the tea was actually like maybe a mature move that suggests some growth.
I inserted myself into something publicly that I shouldn't have.
But like also, let's be real, I have a strong feeling that Jeffree was hit with a legal cease and desist, which might literally be the only reason why he didn't make a receipts video, and all of this is bullshit. But honey, don't worry, because the next apology, whoo! So let's dig into it, starting with the visuals.
I've taken a lot of time to do a lot of self-reflection.
Bitch!
Anything!
So obviously we have a stark contrast with the visuals. This instantly reads like a contradiction.
I've been silent for a very long time. I know that's very rare for me. I've taken a lot of time to do a lot of self-reflection.
So first off, he's setting the tone and stage that he has taken time to sit with what happened without yet acknowledging what has happened.
Now in the past, I've been very guilty of speaking out of anger, out of frustration.
Now here, he sets up the impulse defense, the I wasn't thinking, I was just reacting, my emotions, I'm not fully responsible. It's like when someone cheats on their partner and says, I wasn't thinking, it just happened.
I'm so quick to grab my phone and just say whatever is on my mind in that moment without ever really thinking the ramifications of my words.
Now, this might be true to some extent in his case, but it's also a form of deflection from blame. And we're 25 seconds in and there's still no apology or mention of what this is even about. So worth noting.
And for the first time in a very long time, I'm really reflecting on my behavior and mine alone.
So here he brings up the reflection again, the influencer's favorite buzzword to make it appear as though they have taken some steps to learn or understand what happened, but still no mention of what has actually happened. He could literally be talking about reflecting on doing his laundry and he accidentally washed the reds with the whites and now he's got a pink robe, bitch, okay? But make it fashion.
And I've come to a lot of realizations, and it's been really important to actually understand everything that I was a part of, that I did wrong, and really start a new chapter for myself.
Now, this segment is actually somewhat evil genius. So we're 46 seconds in, nothing has specifically been acknowledged, and Jeffree has already set up the audience to believe he's reflected, grown, and ready for his new chapter in life, implying that he's moved on, you should move on, and we should support him moving on. Bitch, we're all moving on, it's glorious.
And really start a new chapter for myself.
And this perfectly aligns with what is called the blanket apology. This seeks to take ownership of the situation by deliberately being as vague as possible. There may be an apology, but it's so flimsy it could be used in any context. And this type of thing is generally done in a public apology to disarm the audience before they have a chance to form an opinion. Like, this actually isn't an apology, it's a statement.
I've spent a lot of time realizing why I do certain things and why I do the things that I do.
Bitch, listen, bitch, listen. I'm sorry, y'all. Professor Petty is gonna have to come out the shadows again. He keeps saying the same shit 5 different ways.
I've spent a lot of time realizing why I do certain things.
But you literally haven't said anything.
And today, there are no excuses.
Excuses for what?
Anything.
Where are the specifics?
There are no excuses.
You know what, we're gonna turn this into a drinking game, but a responsible game with tea. So class, take a sip of tea every time words come out of Jeffree's mouth, but don't address anything.
Now in the past, I've been very guilty of speaking out of anger, out of frustration, out of my emotions. For the first time in a very long time, I'm really reflecting on my behavior and really start a new chapter for myself. There are no excuses. There are no excuses. No excuses. And I have added to the chaos.
And remember, the speech starts off with a relatable moment of deflection.
Now in the past, I've been very guilty of speaking out of anger, out of frustration.
And now he's moved to the whole, did I make a mistake? Am I human thing?
Did I slip up? Am I human? Have I done some things? Of course I have.
Instead of acknowledging the harm, he twists it into the form of a hypothetical question. Human thing.
Did I slip?
And diminishes responsibility by answering his own manipulated question with the human response.
Have I done some things? Of course I have.
Phrasing it that way fools the audience into thinking he somehow has addressed the problem, apologized for it, and taken accountability because he's only human.
Once again, I will not be exposing anyone.
This is brilliant, actually. So we've been sitting here waiting for him to acknowledge, and now he's said he won't be exposing anyone at all, as if he is the victim of the problem and the abuse, and he has the receipts.
For everyone saying Jeffree's gonna be coming with the receipts and we all need to get ready to forgive, that is the opposite of who I am.
Y'all like see what happened here, right? It is the most artful combination of what I call the 4 Ds. So we got denial, deflection, dissociation, and dismissiveness. So he denies there's an issue by ignoring it, deflects by blaming any problems on being emotional, the dark place argument, disassociates by reiterating he's never doing this again, and dismisses it all while disassociating himself by saying,
I know I'm dramatic, I'm crazy at times, I'm outspoken, but at the end of the day, that is not who I am. I will not be entertaining it. My lawyers are entertaining it behind the scenes, but I will not be.
He then brings up the classic, my lawyers. Like, this is a power play against the victim of their abuse and against the audience. For one, like, no one knows if lawyers are actually involved, but it creates the idea that he's the victim and therefore his lawyers are out to get justice on his behalf. It's a not so subtle manipulation of the audience and the influencer's power dynamics over them, and potentially a veiled threat against the victims who are directly involved. It's also a perfect way of saying, I'd like to address this, but my legal team prevents me from doing so, which is a great way to skirt accountability and not say shit.
I know this may sound shocking coming from my mouth, but when you accept that you are the problem, you can become the solution.
So as he continues to avoid any specifics, he makes the claim that he's realized he is the problem while simultaneously white knighting himself as the savior and the solution. It would be one thing if he said he hopes to be part of the solution, but he didn't. He said he is the solution. And it's even in the title, Doing What's Right, which is definitively saying that this video is what's right. And that strips the audience of their own interpretation, because if they don't like his speech, they're wrong, and he's inherently right because he's the one doing what's right. It's important to remember that the abuser is never the solution. That's their way of continuing to take power and control from the actual victims. The abuser, the problem, is the problem. The healing of the victim is the solution. Now, the abuser may or may not be a part of that healing. That's ultimately going to be up to the victim, but the abuser is not also the healer. It doesn't work like that.
A lot of people want me to address this situation.
So one of the most commonly used strategies we see with influencers is detachment and disassociation, meaning if you disassociate yourself from something or someone, you say or show that you are not connected with them, usually in order to avoid trouble or blame. Now, on one hand, disassociating can be a coping tactic when someone has survived something traumatic, but it is also used often to manipulate others when they have done something wrong but don't want to admit it. In this this instance, we see Jeffree refer to this as the situation, in air quotes.
This situation.
Which not only diminishes the actual offenses, but he disconnects and brushes it off as the situation.
This situation. This situation. This situation.
So after disassociating himself, Jeffree then rises from the ashes in his Louis Vuitton socks and says this.
We have to all take accountability for our own actions and no one else's.
Did he just
take accountability?
Like, Your Honor, I object.
Take accountability.
Waiter, there is a fly in my soup.
For our own actions.
I don't know what in the whole grain rotisserie chicken and dumpling soup audacity is happening, but Jeffree Star has made an entire monologue taking no accountability and then calls out hoes for accountability.
Once again, I will not be exposing anyone.
Lawsuits have been threatened.
My lawyers.
Blame has been shifted.
That is not who I am.
And he's calling for everyone else's accountability.
For our own action.
Man, just leave this shit for the streets. I'm out.
And that's what I will continue to do. And if I don't, please remind me.
Wait, hold up. Did he just say that I should remind him?
Please remind me.
Well, okay then, bitch. Consider this a reminder.
Please remind me.
You know what? Maybe I just need to leave him a comment on the video. Bitch! You got me. You got me. Comments turned off. Can't leave a comment, therefore can't remind you, therefore no accountability. Well played.
Anything else that you guys want to know? It will never be spoken about.
It's the de-evolution, honey.
This has been me, silent for a reason. I've been really working on myself.
We're seeing the trend with influencers' apologies now, where the influencer does something harmful and then ghosts, just disappears for a long period of time, as I think they've learned that going silent, disappearing, is allowing them to return at some future time with less scrutiny and less need for accountability, because people have generally moved on and it's not as sensational. It's good for business, bad for the whole doing what's right thing.
Now, Breonna Taylor still has no justice.
Oh my gosh, wait, hold up. How could I forget this part? This is the part where Jeffree decided to really deflect attention and suddenly turn it into a lesson on the evils of systemic racism, because there's nothing I like more than the decadent, out-of-touch white man lecturing us about the perils of the Black community and using the trauma of a murdered woman to deflect from his own shitty, unrelatable behavior while monetizing it all. So this strikes in full force on checklist point number 5, which says, you know, there are a lot of people who have it much worse than you do. This phrase often comes towards the end of an unhealthy repentance conversation. The situation is not as bad as insert a more exaggerated situation. This is actually a form of emotional and ethical coercion where he says that there are bigger problems in the world, so mine don't matter. That just whitewashes, literally, and it shames the audience for seeking accountability for the harm that he's done, making them feel like, why are you coming to me? Why aren't you paying attention to the bigger thing? I'm gonna speak directly to you here. It has nothing to do with your video, with this topic, with this situation, and it's manipulative as hell. And I think it's disgusting. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
You guys know, Jeffree Star Cosmetics will never be slowing down.
And of course, in the same breath, Jeffree managed to promote his businesses and products in his apology for profit.
I will be back very soon with new videos, new makeup tutorials, and of course, new products.
This video is for the streets. I retire. Let's move on.
I used to amplify things and do things because I thought everyone would like it. And that's one of the hardest things to admit.
Okay, y'all, I know this last video isn't technically an apology, but I thought it was worth mentioning. This is the addressing my mental health video he recently uploaded and sums up the final evolution of Jeffree Star's apology anthology.
I know that people love drama and tea, and I've been such a major player in those emotions.
Firstly, player is a form of disassociation, chalking it up as a game that one can play versus actual problematic behavior. On one hand, I can appreciate and feel like there is some growth happening as volunteering these statements during a time when his head isn't currently on the virtual chopping block is something to note, but that can also just be a form of controlling the narrative by minimizing just how extensive and abusive his role has been over the years.
I was part of the problem, but I also got swept up into so many other people's bullshit. And I'll regret that forever.
Getting swept up, ultimately wasn't just his choice, but he actively put himself in the middle of so many abusive and harmful events.
I really want to sit here and let you guys know, I'm sorry as well. This isn't an apology video. This isn't me trying to say sorry about anything in the past, which I'll always forever be. This is just me saying, I'm sorry to anyone I've ever hurt.
Ironically, in all the apology videos we've looked at, this is one of the only times he actually apologizes. And see, the shitty thing is there have been so many instances of lies over the years and manipulation of audiences that it makes it incredibly hard to believe if growth has happened.
I amplify things when I should have just shut up.
Leave me a comment. I'm curious to hear what you think. Is this growth, or is this still more marketing? Or is it both?
I'm gonna make a million more mistakes, but I've learned from so many of my personal past mistakes.
Hi, just your friendly neighborhood reminder. Abuse, bullying, racism, manipulation, and lying are not mistakes. They're intentional, calculated, and harmful. I think once influencers ditch the cover of calling everything a mistake, that's when real growth and change can happen. Chow, we need a kitten palate cleanser after all of that. Everyone say hi to Mr. Pork Chop. You're looking very French in your stripes. Very Parisian. Very Parisian. Also, Petty University merch is in the works. I know it's taking time, but Rome wasn't built in a day, honey. I'll be giving sneak peeks of it on my Instagram. A couple of Twitter shout outs from my influencer apology doc. First shout out goes to Malcolm, who said, this video was beyond good. The apology song, all of it, we have to stand. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it because that song is a bop, honey. And also shout out to Lantern Razor, who said, every time Swoop wakes up and chooses violence, it's great, but bonus points for the violence being of YouTube's traditional remix that actually kinda slaps. If you wanna be in my next shout out, just follow me on Twitter at SpankyV and retweet this video right here. Don't leave me. I love you. Pork wants to go. Okay, say bye, bunny. And your cute little shirt. Okay, you can go play too. Be sure to check out Scentbird by tapping my link below and use code SWOOP2 to get 30% off to make your first month only $11 and snatch those luxury fragrance. You deserve it, honey. You know, it's important to remember that it's your choice who you stan, fan, or follow, and you're not obligated to anyone. If someone becomes problematic, does something that doesn't sit right with you, it's okay to exit through the gift shop, you know? Pick up a postcard in the little rotating kiosk, say your peace and love, and move on to another creator who better aligns with your expectations. Your time watching is just as valuable as our time making this content, so choose what fulfills you. I hope for Jeffree's sake that he has in fact grown and learned from just how harmful his actions were, not just to the immediate people involved, but to his audience as well. I think influencers so often take their audiences for granted and forget or intentionally ignore that all of you, that we are real people. Viewers aren't just a piece of currency for influencers to spend whenever they get in a pinch. Y'all are the reason influencers even exist. Influencers don't get to choose who follow and supports them. You choose who you want to follow and influence. So all I can say is choose wisely and let the trash take itself out. Y'all got this. Class dismissed. Swoop!